How you got started in the wrestling business?
Oh, actually, I've always wanted to do it. I just made that call to WCW, the power plant. They called me. They called me back. Actually, we set up an appointment. Um, and once we set up the appointment, then they switched the dates. And once they switched the dates, and I had to drive down to Georgia to go to the school. Then they told me no, I came 2 weeks early, so I had to drive all the way back to New York, then drive back down, and then we set up my date. And I went through the training camp for the 3 days of hell.
So you're from New York area originally?
Yes, Long Island, New York.
So you're a big wrestling fan growing up?
Yes, father, grandfather, all of us. We always watch wrestling. Back then, wrestling used to come on like Thanksgiving. It came on the holidays. But now it come on, whenever. But back then, it came on during the holidays.
What did you watch, WWF or NWA? Or
I watch any type of wrestling I can watch. Any type.
Cool. So at what age did you decide this is what I want to do? I want to get into the wrestling business?
Actually, I always wanted to do it, but I didn't really get serious about it until I was like 21, 22. But when I was 17, that's when I started seriously weightlifting. And when I turned 19, that's when I started taking martial arts. I studied kickboxing and Muay Thai. I figured if I was well-rounded in some other things, I'd be a really good wrestler.
You have a big background in martial arts, from what I understand. So as far as experiences in wrestling and the power plant, you called up them and you basically were told to come down there and try out?
Yes.
Okay, what was that like, to try out?
Oh, the tryout was like, we do tryouts now. We've done it with TNA, and we've also, at the end of WCW, we did tryouts, but it was nothing like when I went through the tryout and other people before me. That tryout wasn't about if you were going to make it, because it was all heart, because they physically and mentally broke you down after the first day. So it wasn't designed so you could make it. It was designed so you could fail. But they just wanted to see how much heart you had, if you could really stick it out. Because the way they looked at it was, if you was a champion and you had to do a match and you was hurt, would you do the match, or would you say, no, I'm hurt, I really can't wrestle tonight? So that's kind of how they looked at it. And then it got to the point where they said, most people wanted to get into wrestling for the money, but they didn't have the love of it. So they made you, really want wrestling. So that's how it was when I went through it.
Take us through like a typical day, like when you first got down there. What exactly did they make you do?
The first day we got down there, they said you can stretch if you want. It's not optional, but we suggest you stretch. And that was weird. It's like, all right, well, yeah, I'm going to stretch. We heard it was rough, so we some of us stretched, some didn't.
Did you know anybody in the class at this time?
Nobody.
Okay.
I didn't know not a soul. All I know, it started off with 28 people. By the second day, it was maybe 14 people. And by the time we graduated, it was only me and Rick Cornell, who's known as Reno. We were the only two that made it. But our typical day, we started off stretching. We got there like 8:30. We started exactly 9 o'clock. We wasn't allowed to touch the ring. We started off doing squats. Our first set of squats was like 100. We had to do push-ups. Our first set was 50, but then it went down to 20 as the day went on. Around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock is when we were allowed to touch the ring. All before that, we just kept doing squats, sit-ups, push-ups, running back and forth, carrying each other. It was so many drills. They call me Waterbug. And the reason why they call me Waterbug, because when I went down to the school, I weighed 190, but I wasn't really 190. It was all water weight. So after my first 2 hours of running around, it was like a puddle around me. So that's how I got the name Waterbug. After around 1 o'clock, they let us touch the ring. They let us touch it so we could do more sit-ups under the ropes. They had us running the ropes. We were black and blue by 2 o'clock. Then they had us doing more squats. We got up to like 500 squats in one set. And when I say one set, I don't mean during the whole course of the day. I mean, you started at 1. We didn't stop till we got to 500. Our legs were locking up. Our hands were locking up. We were shaking. People were dropping out left and right. And we still had maybe 3 more hours to go. And there were people throwing up. There were people just quitting, saying I couldn't do it. Some people hanged in there for, maybe 20 something at the end of the day. And by the time the second day started, even people that made it didn't even show up because they couldn't do it. So that was just the first day. Then we had the second day, and they already told us, we said, why don't you guys do us a favor and just quit? None of you guys are going to make it anyway, so we can finish our routine. And everybody's looking around like, what the hell are they talking about, quit? We didn't come here to quit. But by the end of the day, it was only 2 of us left, so I see exactly what they meant. And the third day, it was still the same too, me and Rick, which is known as Reno. And Rick told me on the third day that he already came through once and he quit the first time. He said he definitely wasn't going to quit the second time. And I told him I wanted to do this all my life. There was no way I was going to quit. So we agreed to help each other and we was going to make it to the end. And we made it. But the second day and the third day was the same old deal. Same old squats, no mercy, no nothing. We were locking up, we were falling down, and we just kept pushing. We never quit. And I made it into wrestling. That's how we did it.
Did you train anywhere else before that point?
No, that was my first time. But only thing that kind of helped me was my martial arts, the discipline of doing squats and sit-ups and all that stuff. But never at that level, but it kind of helped me.
Right. Now, who was actually the trainer at that time? Was it Buddy Lee Parker?
Yep, Buddy Lee Parker. We called him Sarge. That was the only thing we was allowed to call him. Mike Winter was there. Pez Watley was there, bless his heart. And Jody Hamilton, known as Mr. Assassin, he was there.
What were your initial impressions of, I guess, Buddy Lee Parker? A lot of people say he was, tough.
Yeah, he those first 3 days, we all felt that man took his job way too serious. But as months went by, he explained to us why he did what he did to make us appreciate the business. So I have nothing but respect for him.
What about Pez Watley? What are your thoughts on Pistol Pez?
Pez is the man. Let me tell you, there was points in my tryout where I was falling apart, and Pez would send somebody over there to help me do push-ups to keep going and not to quit. I wasn't going to quit, but Pez made sure I did not quit. And he told me, he said, didn't you say quitting wasn't an option? So keep going. So, those are the things I remember about Pez. And once I made it, I was training, doing my wrestling, and Pez came up to me and said, you really want to be a wrestler? I said, yeah, I moved from New York. I brought my family down here. He said, this is how you make it. Not only do you have to learn wrestling, you have to learn how to talk, you have to learn how to do things other people don't do. And he said, right now, we're at the point where you have to know high flying. And he said, every day you come in here, you need to practice everything. Whether you come early, stay late, I don't care how you got to do it, you just need to do it. He said, you need to do something that nobody else can do. And he said, I can tell you what that one thing is. And I'm like, what is it? What do I need to do? He said, why don't you learn how to walk the ropes? There's only 1 or 2 people that can do it. And they're not they're not on TV now. So if you learn it and somebody see you do it, I bet you it'll get you on TV. So Pez is the reason why I started walking the ropes. He's the one who told me I should start doing it.
I was going to ask you, how did you get your balance and the timing and stuff like that? How did you develop that?
I think I basically got the balance because I used to do gymnastics. So that kind of helped me. But every day I would get up there and just take 1 step and fall. I'd take 2 steps and fall. Then it got to the point where I could actually walk out to the middle, jump, spin on a rope, land on it again, jump, spin, land on it again, then jump off and do a flip. So the more I started doing it, the better I got. And then my confidence on the rope was just as good as my confidence standing in the middle of the ring. So it was just repetition.
Did you ever take any crazy bumps to the floor or anything like that?
Oh, from the rope?
Yeah, from the rope.
Oh, yeah. One time I jumped up to the top rope, then I hit the top rope again, then I flipped backwards and landed on everybody outside on the floor, and everybody thought I lost my mind.
What about Jody Hamilton? What was his role at the power plant?
Mr. Hamilton was good. I mean, his role was to make sure that we was learning wrestling at a pace where they could have us, like certain people at different paces. So he would talk to each wrestler, individual and as groups. But like there was times he pulled me into the office and said, hey, you're doing this, but you need to be at this point. So you need to hurry up and get to that point because this is what I have planned for you. And like my first month after training, like I took martial arts and all those other things, he said, you need to start wrestling people now. I was like, but I've only been training a month. He said, you need to start wrestling people now. So after a month of training, I was scared, but I got into the ring and started doing shows.
You're talking about house shows for WCW?
No, not for WCW, just house shows in the area. Then they would take me like to Alabama or wherever, or Florida, wherever I could do a house show.
Just indie shows?
Yeah, little indie shows, getting paid $50, $100. But he said it's not about the money. It's about experience so I can make the real money.
Now, when you were on those scenes, when did you start to learn the psychology of the business and stuff?
Mr. Hamilton, actually every day that we got into the ring, he would explain psychology to us. So we would pick it up. But let me tell you, it was maybe 2 years into wrestling, not even 2 years, maybe a year. They kept explaining things to us and it really didn't click. And the next thing you know, I was in the ring one day doing something and I was going to do something. I was like, why would I do that? That don't make sense. And then all of a sudden, psychology hit me. And it was something I couldn't pick up. Meanwhile, he was drilling it in our heads every single day. But just one day it hit me and I haven't been able to let it go since.
So at the power plant, where you basically taught how to bump there, how to work, wrestle, as far as, like, what was the most important thing you learned at the power plant?
Respect.
Okay,
Respect was the biggest thing we learned. Actually, we learned everything. They taught us how to act around other wrestlers. But the biggest thing that they taught us was respect. They said you need to respect people that's just starting to do it, people that's just making it to TV, and there's people that's been doing it for years. And we're learning from their mistakes, or people who made it to the top. We're going to learn things they did right and wrong. So hopefully we can be side by side with them. But respect was the biggest and the hardest thing that we had to learn.
What other WCW wrestlers came to the camp and trained you guys?
Natural Born Thrillers. All of those guys, we all went through together. Let's see who else. Bob Sapp, he came through.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep, but when the company fell apart, he didn't come in with WWE. Yeah, basically all the Thrillers, myself, Bob Sapp, and there was some other, Sean O'Hara.
Right.
But he was with the Thrillers too.
Mike Samples there?
Yeah, Mike Sanders. Yeah, he was there. It was like all the Thriller guys. We were all together. We all was brought up at the same time. Thanks to Vince. He saw us in the school one day and said, "What are you guys doing here?" And we was like, "Hey, we're learning." He said, "If you guys don't have it by now, you'll never get it." And he put us all on TV.
Wow. Now, how often did Eric Bischoff or anyone else in management come to the school?
Well, the first school was maybe 10 miles away from the office. But the second school that Paul Orndorff was in charge of was in the office area. So they had a big section of it blocked off. They had 4 rings, everything. It was top of the line wrestling equipment, rings, everything. It was like, if you could dream. All right, let me put it like this. When we went to the first wrestling school, I never knew nothing about wrestling, but all I knew was associated with WCW. So I knew it was going to be like top equipment, rings, whatever. And it was nothing of the sort. It was dirty rings, dirty school. It was boxes and cases all over the place. And the second power plant was like the dream that I thought the first one was going to be. I mean, we cleaned that school. We cleaned the old school. Don't get me wrong. But the second school was like, not only is this school for you guys, but it's for people that's coming here and it's business people and things we're going to be doing. So this school must always stay clean, which we didn't have a problem cleaning the school because we was always taught every day you work out, you clean. But I mean, this working out and cleaning was like hand in hand.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.